Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sonia, a self-taught designer, hand letterer, and illustrator. In today's video, I want to show you how to use a pen tool and a width tool in Adobe Illustrator. Similar to a couple of videos that I created for Adobe Illustrator, this video is for complete beginners who wants to familiarize themselves with the program, especially if you're looking into creating a cute, clean looking characters like this. Keep on watching. So for the purpose of this video, I want to show you a quick way and some tips on how to use a pen tool. I think the best way to practice, in my opinion, is the ones that has a lot of curves. That gives you a lot to work on. And again, the only way to really get better at pen tool is by practice. It might be a little bit difficult at first, but I would promise you just by practicing, you will get so much better. And I think, I thought this mustache will be a perfect place to practice a pen tool. So I just want to quickly show you how to go about drawing this using a pen tool and some tips along the way to make it a little bit more easier for you to practice. So first, the pen tool, you're going to see it right here. It's here. You can click on that, or the shortcut for that is P. So you can press on letter P. Another thing I just want to make sure is that I have an outline and not the fill. If you go to this section here, and if you saw the video, the other video that I have created, I quickly explained this, where this is going to show you the fill color. In this case, there's a red line. That means there's no fill. And then this will be the color of the stroke. So currently there is no fill and we only have the stroke, the outline, and that's what I want. So I checked those 2 points, and then I'm going to go ahead and draw this. Now, one tip on using a pen tool is, tip number one is you want to use less points as possible. That gives you a clean line. So what do I mean by that? So let's say I'm creating this using a pen tool, and if I go ahead and create 1 dot, 2 dot, 3 dot, 4 dot, 5 dot, 6, 7, 8. See, you know how a lot of points that I'm creating? The more points you have, it's not as clean. So that's one thing to know. So what you want to do is to kind of minimize that points, and that will actually give you a clean look. Now, then the question is, well, where is there a good place to put a point? And the answer is actually yes. There is certain points that works really well, and where it could also help you to minimize the points. And that is, I like to say, the highest point and the lowest point. What do I mean by that is typically when I use a pen tool when there's like a curve like this mustache, I will definitely go ahead and use a pen tool for it. And the way I determine where to put a point is the highest point. So if you look at this curve here, the highest point would be somewhere around here. So if I'm starting here, this point right here will be the highest point. And then if you go down, typically around here, the lowest point will be a good place to put a point. And then the edge, I'll do something like this. So again, if I were to instead of doing like 6 points, as you can see, I've just done like 4 points. And again, less point it is, the cleaner it's going to look. So for here, for instance, if I'm having a curve like this, instead of creating 1, 2, 3, 4 points, I'm just going to go to the lowest point, in this case around here. So I'm going to probably pick around here and then like that. So that's another tip. Using less points, and you always try to hit the highest point and the lowest point. So that's one way to use the pen tool. Now, another thing that you probably have noticed is there's this handle called Bezier handle. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but let's say I'm going here, and then if I determine the highest point, you're just gonna pull it, then this handle will appear. And this handle is gonna actually give you, you could actually make changes after you draw. So let's say, for example, I have the highest point and then I go to the lowest point and then I pull it again and there's this handle. But I don't really like how this is curved. So then you could just select. First, you have to select the selection, direct selection tool. It's right here. The shortcut for that is A. That will give you these points. The points will show up, and then you could either just change the point directly, or you could even play with the handle to make the curve looking more nice. Not only you could change the direction of it, but you could also change the length, which is pretty awesome. So that way, let's say in this case, the curve isn't that good, then you could play with both sides. So that's another thing you need to know about the pen tool. Not only you could draw it, so again, I'm pulling it and draw like this. Again, you have to click on the direct selection tool. Shortcut is A, then that will give you this access to the point and the Bezier handle, and you can go ahead and adjust that. So drawing on a pen tool is slightly different than drawing with a brush or something, but it does give you more power in terms of after you drew something, you have more of the control. So same thing here, I'm gonna go press on, again, that was shortcut P, click on that, and then as I said, the good point here is probably the lowest point here. So I'm gonna point there, and instead of letting go of the mouse, you're gonna hold it down and then you're gonna pull it. If you pull, the longer it goes, you see how the shape of the curve changes. So notice that. And then this will give you the direction. So I'm gonna go around here like so. And then let's say on the next one, you could either click that, or if you wanted to change so let's say I don't want this handle to be this long. I like this part that's long, but if this one, I want to change that, again, you just go ahead and click on the direct selection tool, and then you can adjust only this side. You see the other side is remaining the same. Okay, and then go back to your pen tool and then just click. Oops, I'm gonna connect here first. You would see that negative sign, and then you could pull it, something like that. Okay, and the same thing on the other side. So again, pen tool, really that's all I have to say about the pen tool. It's really a simple tool, but it is the most challenging, I feel like. It's just keep on practicing. And again, when you do practice, I would highly suggest you practice in a curve like this. Because if you're practicing, let's say in a square, you're not really gonna, a square or something that's boxy shape like this, then you're not going to have too much chances to play with the Bezier handle and the direction and all that. So playing with the curve is the best way to go. So again, from here, if there's a curve like this, again, if this is completely new to you, just think about, okay, where is my point going to go? It's going to be at the highest point around here, pull, and then it's going to be at the lowest point of the curve, which is around here. And then you pull, and then at the edge, obviously. And again, if you don't like the curve, go to the direct selection tool, and then you could always play with it. Bring the point up, down, play with the Bezier handle, the length, and the direction. You could play with both. And let's finish it up. Go again, connect, go back to the pen tool, and then from this curve, the lowest point is around here. Pull, and then like that. I want to show you, this is a bonus thing. You don't have to use it. Again, if you're really good at pen tool, then most likely you could fix all the problems controlling the Bezier handle and the direction. One of the kind of a cheat thing that I like to do is something called a smooth tool. I actually can't remember what the shortcut for this, that's a default, but I did change the shortcut to Shift S. I feel that smooth tool S, it's easier to remember. So I have selected that. So you can just go ahead and select the smooth tool. If you also want to add a shortcut for it, you could just go to Edit. And then if you go to Keyboard Shortcuts, you can actually change any of the shortcut you want to. But for me, I just went down. If you go here, there will be something called Smooth or Smooth Tool, and you could manually adjust it there. So I have adjusted that. So my shortcut is Shift S. You could select to whatever way you want it to set up, but that's what it is. Now, what does it do? For me, again, I use pen tool most of the time, but let's say I really don't like this part here. I kind of want to smooth it out, but I don't want to spend too much time on going into the Bezier handle and changing this and that. It just takes too much time for me, and I just want to do a quick fix. One way to go about doing that is, number one, you select it and you go to the direct selection tool. So again, shortcut is A. And once these points pop out, you're going to go ahead and select the smooth tool, Shift S in my case, and then you see how here you want to smooth it out. Just go ahead and draw on top of it. Then it kind of does the job for you. So that's another quick cheat sheet, if you will, or quick way to fix some of the stuff. So again, here, like, let's say, oh, I want to smooth it out a little bit, then you can go ahead and just draw on it using the smooth tool. Okay, so that's it for the pen tool. And on the next one, I want to show you using the width tool. It is, again, a very simple function, but it makes a huge difference, especially when you're doing a character drawing. So I'm going to just show you a good example here. So I have created, I don't know, a bagel, donut, whatever you want to call it, a cute character here. Now this, I have drew it by using a pen tool and some of the shape tools, obviously. So this looks pretty good. But if you use a width tool, you could see a subtle difference, but sometimes it makes a huge difference. This may be a little bit too simple kind of character, but if you're doing a little bit more detailed character, it does help. So I'll just point out how it's different. So the width tool, what it does is you could kind of control the width of the stroke on any location you want to change. So for instance, if I'm looking at this bagel, I want the edge of the bagel to be slightly thicker than the left side of the bagel. So I can go ahead and use a width tool to do that. So you can see how this is the same length, same width all around. And this bagel, I made it a little bit thicker on the right side and a little bit thinner on the left side. Same thing with the middle part. This is the same width, but this one I made slightly thicker onto the right side than to the left side. That kind of adds some depth. Another thing that it does is it's almost kind of like an inking effect. If you think about using a inking brush, depending on where you put the pressure, it gets a little bit thicker, and if you put less pressure, it gets a little bit thinner. So it kind of gives that effect too. So even though this is a vector, very clean form, it still kind of gives you that inking effect. So that's when I like to use the width tool. Another example here is if you look at the arm too, this one, it's a little bit thicker on the thicker side of the arm, and then on the hand part it's slightly thinner, and then it gets thicker. So it has a little bit more of that thickness to thick and thin happening instead of just having a mono line. Again, same thing if you look at the smile too. Look at this. This is just the mono width, where this one, it's slightly thinner at the edges of the smile and then a little bit thicker in the middle. So it kind of gives that small effect. Another thing is this leg too, I could create a line and then make it a little bit thicker on the thigh and then a little bit thinner on the ankle area. So I just want to quickly show you how I go about using a width tool, because again, it's really simple to use, but it really has a big effect in terms of your artwork. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that. So again, this right side is the one that I use the width tool. So I'm just going to use the left side of it to kind of match to what I did on the right side. So width tool is right here. You can click on that and it will give you a width tool. If you press it down, there's other options, but we're just going to focus on the width tool. The shortcut for this is Shift W. So all you really need to do is, again, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So I want to, again, use this bagel as an example, and I want to make this side a little bit thicker. So you're going to first going to determine where you're going to make it thick. So let's say it's around here. We're going to go ahead, again, you have to make sure you select the direct selection tool. That will give you an option. Once these points come up, then you know you have selected it. Shortcut for that is A. And you're going to determine at which point you're going to increase the size of the width of the outline. So I'm going to say around here is a good point. So once you have selected the direct selection tool, I'm going to go ahead and select the width tool, Shift W, and this white dot is going to appear. So this is, again, for you to determine where are we going to go ahead and do that. So I would say around here. So you click, and if you drag, it will give you the option to increase the width at that point. So let's say I want to increase about here. So then we have created this effect, right? Same thing here. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. You select it, that is V, that's just the selection tool. And then you're going to select the direct selection tool, which is the A, that one right there. And then you're going to select the width tool, which is right here, Shift W, and then this white dot is going to appear. You're going to determine at which point you want to increase the width. I would say around here, and then you just click and drag, like so. So that's how you go about using a width tool. So that's what I have done with the arm too. It also works the other way where you could actually reduce it too. So what I mean by that is, let's say in this arm, again, that's a selection tool. I want to leave this, let's say for example, this area, I like the width of the outline, but I want to make this hand slightly thinner just at the edge. Then it works the same way. You could also increase it, but you could also decrease it as well. So again, we have the selection tool and then the direct selection tool and then the width tool. Now from here, you know how we have expanded this way, but you could also reduce it down inward. So then if you do that, now this remains the same, but this hand area is going to be slightly reduced. So it works both ways. Smile, same thing. You could do both at the same time. For example, with this smile, I want to make this part thicker, but the edge is thinner. You could do both at the same time too. So again, we have selection tool, direct selection tool, width tool. I want to make this part to be thick like this, but I want this edges to be thinner. So then it is already still selected as a width tool, so you're just going to hold it and bring it in. Hold it. If you see this line, you see the white dots, it's going to bring it in. Maybe this is too thick. Bring it in. But you could control however way you want. So that is the power of the width tool. And I'm going to show you one last thing and how I go about even using the outline and use the width tool for the leg so that I can make a thicker thigh and then a thinner as the leg goes more toward the feet. So if I were to just draw a pen tool, so in this case a P, just a pen tool, I'm going to draw a line. So this is just a regular outline. Now I'm going to make this line a little bit thicker. So I'm going to increase the stroke. Let's say this is a good point. Oh, and also I don't want this to be rounded. You just go to the outline here. And if you go to here, the cap, it was selected at rounded. You can just select the butt cap, that's what it's called, or more toward the left. That's going to be the option, so it's no longer rounded. And from here, you select again, selection tool, direct selection tool, width tool, and then I'm just going to go ahead and expand here. Go back around here. So I'm going to expand like so. Then you could see, let me do a little bit more like that. Then you could see how the leg, it's more thinner toward the ankle and it's thicker toward the thigh. You could do that and then just use a pen tool to draw the rest. Something like that. Fill it in. Something like that. But that's how the quick way to do it. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you because for me at least, a lot of the cute characters that I create, those are the two tools that I use all the time, and that simple little tools can make a huge difference on your artwork. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. I would go ahead and answer all the questions that you have. And if you want to see anything new or learn something new from Illustrator, please let me know as well. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.